Hello and welcome to Out of Spec Reviews. Today we have the Nissan Sentra SR. This is the brand new redesigned Sentra, and we're gonna do the usual. Whenever someone drops off a car for us to review, we do a cold start, we do a full setup of the options, and then we take it for our first drive. This thing's looking pretty cold. Let's get a nice cold start on it. Gonna hit lock on the key, hold the start button. Here she goes, starting up. So after you got that little start up, here it is, the Nissan Sentra SR. This particular one's redesigned for 2020. Looks really nice, I think. It's covered in snow. We actually took this car yesterday up into the mountains. Typically, I like to do these on the first day that I get them, but I promise you I haven't set up the options yet, or set up the settings. We're gonna go through, as we do in every one of these videos, we're gonna go through the sticker price of this particular one. How is it spec'd? We're gonna go into the settings and get it all set up for our week of driving with it. And then we are also going to take it for a little drive and talk about what to expect from this car. Now comment down below what you'd like us to see with this. I think we're gonna start doing our 70-mile-per-hour highway MPG loop with this car early on. Hopefully the roads are pretty dry today. We did get dumped on with snow the last few days here in Fort Collins, Colorado. And before we do that, let me take you on a little tour. So we'll hit unlock on the key here. Show you inside. Really nice interior. Actually, look at how beautiful that center dash is. We got the heat going. When you remote start it, it puts on the heated seats and the heated steering wheel, which is a really nice touch. Let me show you some of the back seat room here as well. Really nice and spacious. Gotta say, this thing's shaping up to be pretty good. Looks like we have USB ports in the back there too, perhaps. Let me show you the trunk space as well. Sorry for me filming this video by myself today. Timon, our videographer, is not up yet. It's early in the morning and he has not made his way over here yet. So here's the trunk of the Sentra, really big. Is there an underfloor storage area? No, but there is a spare tire. I'll take that compromise all day, every day. Love that. We definitely got to get this thing washed before we get some photos of it. As with every car, we have a photo gallery on our website where you can look at high resolution, high quality photos of in-depth features and full around views of this car. And let's go inside because it's freezing. We'll let this thing warm up for a bit and we'll go through the options. You can tell it's really cold out because look at how laggy this display is. It's 18 degrees right now and it was down to single digits last night. So we're gonna just let everything warm up a little bit. While we're doing that, you can see here this bottle of water have turned to straight ice in here. This is truly a cold weather test. Let me get out the options on this car and let's run through the spec. But look at this interior, guys. This is pretty premium, and I think the car is extremely reasonably priced. Let's take a look. So here is the window sticker on the car. You can see the base price for the SR CVT version. So let's talk about what this all is. This is the 2020 model year Nissan Sentra. This is the small sedan. This one's a 2-liter SR, which means it's got all the cool racy trim stuff on the outside. Actually looks really good. And then the CVT, which we'll talk about when we take it for a drive, of course. So we have, let's go through some more options here. We have a MSRP of a base price of $21,430. That is so inexpensive. This one has the premium package, $2,170, gets you LED headlights, heated steering wheel, heated front seats, power driver seat, not passenger. It's got the 8-speaker Bose, auto-dimming mirrors. I think you just got to get that premium package. It has everything you want in there. Then you have lighting package, which is interior ambient lighting and external ground lighting. Usually I'd say yes, but I haven't really noticed it, but I haven't had the car at night much. And then we will have the, let's see, two-tone with premium paint, $600. Sure, this one looks really good, white with black. And the carpeted floor mats are $205. So in total, with destination, this thing's under 26 grand for an interior that looks this nice This premium, I mean, that is really an absolute steal here, guys. I mean, even without getting into the driving dynamics, everything feels really nice. Even with this cold weather, nothing's creaky. It's all screwed together very well. That is honestly rare to find in cars. And I gotta say, this is the turn for Nissan? I'm not sure, but I gotta say, normally I'm not like a Nissan guy, but I drove the Rogue Sport recently. That was really nice. We have the new Armada coming. This is really nice. Has Nissan taken a turn for the better? I think maybe. We're going to be doing a couple tests with this car while we have it. We have a miles per gallon, 70 mile per hour highway loop that I mentioned. It expects 37 mpg on the highway. We'll see what it does in our 70 mile per hour test. Of course, the EPA rates cars a little differently. And now I'd say let's run through the settings, get everything set up here with the screens and options, and we'll take it for a drive. Now let's get the main screen set up there. We're going to disable our rear door alert. That's if you leave your kids in the car often. We have a couple menus here on the home side. Nissans are all kind of set up the same way. We have our fuel economy. Again, we were driving in the mountains. This is how many miles, speed limit sign, tire pressures, okay. You have your music, you have your, not ProPilot in this car, but it does have adaptive cruise control, just no lane centering, unfortunately. But it does have lane departure warning. We'll talk more about that in our full review. And now we get through the settings. So vehicle dynamic control, VDC, that's basically your traction control on and off. Sure, we will leave that on for now. Driver assistance, we have our lane departure warning on or off. I actually find Nissan lane departure warnings to be really sensitive and aggressive, so I typically keep those off. And most cars I actually leave them on. We have our blind spot indication on. By the way, the blind spot's not in the mirrors, it's these little sensors right here, which is kind of interesting. Gotta say, I like the implementation. I'm glad it's not out in the side mirror there. Come on, camera, let's get focused here. There we go. What else do we have? We have emergency braking for front and rear. This is for low speed. If you're about to bump into something, the car will apply the brakes if you're like about to back into another car in a parking lot, for example, which I think is really kind of interesting. We have our speed limit sign on, our parking aids, of course, auto show sonar, yes, rear on, distance. Let's go long distance. Try and see how far they can see. Volume high, sounds good. Rear cross traffic alert, yes. Driver attention alert, yes. Timer alert, I don't know what that is. I guess you can set a timer. And then you have your low temperature, which I believe is that little snowflake up there. Let's just double check. Yes, it is. It is the little snowflake. Do you need that? Probably not, but kind of cool. Eco mode settings. This is kind of cool. You can make sure to disable cruise control in eco mode. Of course, it's more efficient to, you know, just keep a constant throttle position rather than adjusting for the hills, of course. You can even turn off air conditioning in eco mode, which is so interesting. I find that crazy, honestly, but what a cool thing. We have our eco drive assist. This will be our eco indicator and our drive report. That's just telling us, are we driving efficiently, eco-friendly? No, we have not been. So we have our TPMS. You can change the pressure readout, vehicle clock, of course. Now we get into settings. Lighting, welcome headlight on, yes. Auto room lamp, I don't know what that is, but I think I want it on. Light off delay, 30 seconds is fine. We have our exit door switch on. Selective unlock, no, if that's on, it will only unlock the driver's door and then the rest of the doors after that. Auto door unlock when you shift to park. That sounds pretty good. Horn beeps unlock. No, I like a nice silent lock. Wipers, speed dependent. Yes, absolutely. They're not automatic wipers in this car, but they will change based on the speed you're driving. That's pretty nice. Rear door alert. We don't actually need that because we don't have any kids that'll be sitting in the back. So what else do we have here? Maintenance, oil. Yeah, this is just typical, you know, setting when you want your things to be changed, just miles and reminders. I think that's such a great idea. This will tell you what you want to see on your home menu. Now this is interesting. I have everything here selected, right? But on the home menu, I can only see 3 things. So is that a bug in the software where I'm not able to go through? Because I'm definitely on the home screen, right? We only have 3 things, but if I go to the settings and we go back to the main menu selection under home, you know, you can see this is just all kind of not there, is it? Unless maybe it is there, it's just all across the bottom bar. We'll see. Have to dig deeper. It's possible that that's not just the home menu selection. Cruise screen transition. Sure, that sounds pretty good. Welcome effect. These are like when the gauges do their little animation when you get in. We'll keep all that on. And light wiper guidance. This is a cool feature. This is when you adjust the stalk here, it adjusts in the screen. So it tells you where your position is. So that means, A, you don't have to light up the stalks because you have a reference there in the screen, which saves cost. And it also is just kind of nice to see. And then of course we can change all of our units and language right in there. So I'd say that is the car pretty well set up. I think what I'm gonna do is keep this on the speed that we are traveling. And we will go into this setting right here in the menu on this side. Of course, we have Apple CarPlay. Let's go into settings. Of course, you can set up your phone, your Bluetooth connection. You can see everyone's that's connected here. You have your clock. Sound. Now this has the Bose system, 8-speaker, really good system actually, very surprisingly good system. You know, it's not melt your face loud, it's not super crazy, it's not crisp, but for a $26,000 car, this thing sounds amazing, and I have it set here already kind of how I like it. You can make the touchscreen do beeps and things, which I really hate. You know, this kind of, yeah, just, I hate all that. We're gonna just get out of there. It's still dinging. Please stop dinging. We can customize our home menu to put kind of whatever we want on there from shortcuts. We have all these widgets to choose from, of course, which is nice. For the most part, though, I'm just going to use Apple CarPlay on here. You have your system voice. You can pull up your camera settings, of course. Others, just basic things. This system is not super in-depth here. Of course, you have all of your connections there, I guess. So that's that. Along the bottom, you have all your vehicle information. So you can go to vehicle data transmission, system information. You can go to your Bluetooth connections here. You can go to your audio down here and then select what you want to listen to. And of course you have that main home button, and you can swipe between your screens that are totally customizable, and you can put whatever you want on there. Cool system. Big issue with this system though is that it doesn't get bright enough. You can see here, if I click this little thing to put it to daytime, I have it really in the highest setting. Let's go back here. So here we go, we're on, you know, brightest all the way up, and it's dim. You know, on a day like today where it's cloudy and snowy, it's fine, but when it's sunny out, this screen is a little glary, you can already see that, and it's a little bit too dim. And other than that, I'd say the system's totally fine. Let me take you on a little tour of the interior. You have these really nice air vents here. They're not very heavy. It's not like, you know, the Mercedes system that has a similar thing. They're plastic wheels, but again, $26,000 car, and it looks this nice, and it really does feel nice too. It's just not made of metal, it's plastic, but that's what you would expect. You have all of your temperature controls, heated steering wheel, heated seats, USB-C, USB-A, everything you would want. You have, of course, a really deep, look at how deep this thing is, center console with more charging ports. Actually, no, there's not. That is the airbag on-off switch. Sorry about that. No charging ports in there. We have a sunroof up top, which is really nice. And of course, we have the back seats that have plenty of room, actually, for an adult to fit back there. A little lacking in the headroom department for the rear seats, but I'll show you that later on in our full review. But we took a trip, 3 of us in this car, up to the mountains, up to Breckenridge, Colorado the other day, and it was really a fantastic cruiser. So let's get it out on the road and see how she drives. And now it's time to take the Sentra for a drive. Let's go see how this thing feels. Again, we'll have a full review coming. This is just a style of video I like to do that's extremely informal, kind of just like bring you guys around as to how I'm approaching an evaluation of a vehicle for the week. You know, we get 1 or 2 or sometimes 3 or 4 new cars a week to review. And, you know, we kind of have to drive them, figure out what they're all about before we just go out and do our full review on them. Now, this one has a couple things going for it. It's the Sentra, which is actually the most popular Nissan model sold in the US. I thought that was kind of cool. They've sold 8 million Sentras in the US since 1982, I think is when it launched. So like, this is a big deal for Nissan. It's an all-new platform only for the Sentra that will be built on this platform. That takes a lot of money to design and engineer. You know, and I've mentioned this about the past in Nissan. I think they were kind of stuck with some older models. Here comes one, for example, their Frontier pickup truck. It's been on sale for what, 14 years, something like this. So they're going through, they're updating the lineup, they're spending money on R&D, they're spending money in electrified transport with Nissan Ariya, which we recently got to see. So I think the company is coming out of the dark ages. You know, they haven't made anything crazy interesting in the last 10 years. Of course, we had the GTR and the 370, but those are kind of long in the tooth now, and they have the 400Z. So bright future, and this car looks incredible. Now it's wider by 2.2 inches than the last Sentra, and it's lower by 2 inches. So have they made the Sentra more sporty? Well, this one's the SR trim, which is the sporty version. This car also comes equipped with the best windshield wipers I've ever used on any car. I mean, absolutely amazing. It just gets everything off the windshield. I mean, I almost wanted to do a full review, and I still might do a written review on this car, on just how good the windshield wipers are, because I've never driven a car with a clear glass windshield, and it's been terrible weather conditions the last day or so driving this thing around. So let's head out onto the street here. Yes, we have weird front range, or I should say frontage roads here in Colorado that you kind of have to go across to get on the main road. Anyway, 18 degrees out, heated steering wheel, rocking along, heated seats, keeping me nice and toasty. So we have three models. You have, forgive me if I remember, but the S, the SL, and the SR. Could be an S and E, don't remember. I think it's an SL. And the base one starts at like $19,300. This one again starts at $21,400, and it has the premium package into it. So for under 20 grand, you're in a Sentra. Now, granted, the interiors are going to be about the same. They drive the same. You know, they got this flat bottom, D-shaped steering wheel. I actually really like the steering wheel. Typically, I don't like a flat bottom wheel, but Nissan pulls it off really well with this car. Let's try out the adaptive cruise control while we're talking. So on, set, we'll put it up to 40 miles per hour. We'll sit on the closest distance. So now the car is adapting its cruise control based off of the distance of the car in front. By the way, all of the active safety systems in this car come as standard at no charge. So you get forward collision warning, rear brake assist, blind spot, all of Nissan's safety shield is standard. That is hugely important, something I've been begging automakers to do for a long time, and I'm so happy we have a suite of really good, really well thought out active driver assist systems as standard on this car. And so now let's talk about driving. You know, we're behind this truck on adaptive cruise control. It's quiet in here. You know, again, we have to compare it to other cars in the segment, and thankfully we've driven almost every single one of them. This thing is unbelievably smooth. Like, the way it soaks up the bumps is, it would make you think it costs $20,000 more than it does. The level of refinement in the interior, the way everything is screwed together, I alluded to that earlier in the video, but just like the design, the pleasant viewput, the technology, everything here is really good. And if you know me, you know I'm not like a Nissan fan. Like, I'm not a Japanese car guy. You know, I really love German cars. But like, this is such a good value for $20,000. This one, 26, so it has everything. Under $26,000, that's insane. It's so good. Now, cruising down the highway, we spent, again, a couple hundred miles yesterday on the highway in this car, and it was unbelievably quiet, unbelievably comfortable. Now, going up some of the mountain passes, we'll talk about this 4-cylinder engine and a setting that I had missed, but let's talk about CVTs in a car, because as a car enthusiast, this is something that I don't necessarily like, but Nissan pulled it off in a good way here. So CVTs are a continuously variable transmission. They adapt their gear ratios infinitely, or continuously, I should say. So you don't have first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, just slides around. So here we've come to a stop, and it shut off adaptive cruise control. I guess I'll have to re-engage when we start moving. So it won't hold you at a stop, it looks like. I haven't tried it in stop and go traffic yet. That's the first time, but it pulled us all the way down to 0 without even thinking about it. What it'll do is under light load, it'll keep the revs low. Under highway cruising, it'll keep the revs low. Of course, we'll do our MPG test in this car. The CVT is really going to come in handy there, because it's able to drop the revs really nice and low at highway cruising speeds at 70 miles per hour. But what you lack, or what you gain in economy, you usually lose in driving feel, because there's never a true direct locked up connection between the engine and the front wheels. So whenever you floor it, the revs go up and the car starts to move at a not proportional rate, and it just feels weird. That's why car guys don't like it. But what Nissan's done with this car, and I've seen other automakers do this too, but they've done a really nice job, is they've calibrated in synthetic shift points to make it feel locked up. So for example, if I floor it, it downshifts and then it'll shift the gears. Virtually. And I think that's such a great solution. The only time it will not shift gears is if you have the car in sport mode and you do a power launch, which is left foot on the brake, brake boost it. Actually, it may even just do it if you floor it off the line. It just holds it at peak power. And that's only when you're in drive sport. And we need to talk about drive sport, because all day yesterday I had no idea this car had a sport mode. There's nothing indicating, there's just an eco mode all the way over here. Typically drive modes are put together. There was nothing like indicating that there's a sport until I put a drink in the cup holder and I knocked the back of the shifter and I accidentally pressed this little button on the back of the shifter down here. And this activates DS. And so now what it does is it sharpens the throttle. The shift points get even better. And the car, while the peak power at wide open throttle does not change, it transforms the entire character of this car. Now this is a city car, it's a commuter car, it's meant to get you from A to B comfortably. It's not meant to really fly around everywhere, but it does. Let's see, power, just so I can remind myself, 149 horsepower, 146 pound-feet of torque from the Xtronic CVT that it runs through. You put your foot down low, there's not much, but up top, look, we just spun the tires at like 35 miles an hour. And I don't want to rip through my downtown area here, so I'll back off, of course. But it's plenty. Like, you do not need any more power than this car. Now, granted, we were driving this car at 10,000 feet of elevation, going up steep mountain passes yesterday, and it never gave us any problem. Did I have to go pretty deep in the pedals sometimes? Yes, I did have to floor it from time to time. But, nothing that you would ever need more power. Certainly you may want it, but there's no necessity to having it. Now, we're cruising in drive, non-sport. If I put the car in DS, you'll see that it kicks the revs up a little bit to about 2,500. And then I can get into it and it starts dropping gears and really gets going. Like, it's super peppy. The way I would drive this car is in drive sport around town, because it's super fun and nimble. We always think of Sentras as, oh, it's like a good first car, or you just want something reliable to get you from A to B. This is actually like, look, we just spun the tires. This is like actually something you can have fun with. Now, I've had this car up in the canyons yesterday. Obviously, we were in the mountains, and going around some of these corners, again, it's not meant to be a race car, but it tracks really nicely, even though the car is extremely compliant on the street, like extremely compliant over bumps. Really soaks them up unbelievably nicely. When you throw it into a corner, you definitely get some lean on the car, but it's super well balanced. So the front end very rarely pushes. This car also has something called understeer control, where it'll drag the back brakes a little bit to pull the front end if you're pushing. And I was just extremely impressed with the on-limit handling dynamics, which is not this car's designed area to be operated in. But like, if you want to go up and have some fun, this car can absolutely do that. And that's before I even knew about the drive sport mode. I was just driving it, but in a mix between D and L drops the revs for engine braking, which was extremely helpful down some of those mountain passes yesterday. So all around, I'll have a full review on this car coming. This is just our first impressions, my first impressions. But I have to say, like, for something to feel this nice, it should cost $10,000 more than they're selling them for. And if people just go into the Nissan dealership and drive this thing, there's no way they're not going to buy it. Like, if you're in the market for a relatively premium, inexpensive city driver commuter car, this has to be it. I mean, when you compare it to the competitors, they're great cars. Don't get me wrong. You have Corolla, awesome car. You have even Camry on the bigger side, really nice car. You have Honda Civic. You have Accord. Everything's in this price range. This is maybe the one to buy just because of how refined it is, how nice the interior is. A lot of people buy cars based on the emotional buy. It's not necessarily the dollars and cents. It's how does the car make you feel? And this car feels so premium. It looks really nice. People were coming up to us in the Sentra being like, wow, that's such a good looking car. I kid you not. And we're like, we're driving a Nissan Sentra and people are complimenting us. They've really knocked it out of the park with this one. The CVT, look, I'll go wide open here. You can see it will simulate the shift. It'll do it again. Simulating shifts. That's pretty cool. It doesn't really bug me. You wouldn't know this is a CVT unless you're like reading the brochure, but it doesn't drive like one. Wow. And we have that beautiful view of the snowy mountains up here. Let's take it on the snow real quick. We'll just go down this little road and I'll show you some of how nice this car handles in the snow as well. Front wheel drive, right? But let me just show you, it has really strong, ABS system that's calibrated nicely. So you can see ABS, right? To a stop. We'll try out traction control wide open. You'll see it blinking away. It's maintaining wheel spin really nicely. Will it maintain wheel spin in reverse? That's what we have to try out. Full throttle. Yes, it will. Traction control in reverse. Oh man, that was just silly. No need for that really. But I gotta say, Nissan has really upped their game with this car. Really upped their game. And it's actually, I think, my favorite Nissan. Is that okay to say? Like, is that weird? It's a Nissan Sentra. This should be like their base entry-level sedan, and I'm saying it's my favorite one. But I think it is. It certainly looks the best. I think it's the best looking Nissan in the lineup. I asked you guys on Instagram, or maybe I did a YouTube poll, I can't remember, and everyone sort of agreed. That was like, yeah, this thing looks really good. And it doesn't sound bad, it's a basic 4-cylinder engine, but you can't approach this car as like a driving enthusiast standpoint. I'm super thrilled with it. I think they've done a great job. I can't wait to share, after I've spent more time driving this car, in our full review of what we think about the Nissan Sentra. We're gonna have time and drive it. Alyssa, Drew, everyone will run through and share their thoughts. And we may even have a written piece instead of a video for our final review. We're starting a written site with Spec Studios, so we'll see how that goes. Let us know if you would be interested in reading our car reviews as well as watching them. I think it's something we're going to start in early January 21. Thanks for joining me on this little ride. I know these videos are long. I try to keep them about a half hour. It's just a fun half-hour glimpse into getting a car every week and setting it up and taking it for its first drive. I don't know if it'll work, if we'll keep doing them, but I certainly enjoy doing these. I'm off to go get Starbucks this morning, this cold morning here in Fort Collins, Colorado. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for joining.